In the year 628, a man in India wrote down a symbol for nothing, just a dot, and the world has never been the same. Here is the thing about zero. It seems obvious. You have 3 apples. You eat 3 apples. You have 0 apples. A child understands this. But it took humanity 4,000 years to figure out. Let that sink in. 4,000 years. That is longer than the pyramids have existed, longer than written language. And when someone finally did, a mathematician named Brahmagupta, people did not celebrate. They called him a fraud. Kings banned his work. The church declared zero heretical. Because if you can count nothing, what does that say about God? Before zero, the Babylonians just left a gap. You would carve a number into clay, leave a space, carve another number, and everyone was supposed to know what you meant. Like writing a sentence with no spaces or punctuation and hoping for the best. It worked barely. The Greeks were worse. They did not just lack zero, they rejected it. Aristotle himself said nothing cannot exist. And when the most famous philosopher in history says something, you do not argue for the next 2,000 years. So they did math without zero. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper without knowing what ground level means. That is Greek mathematics. Impressive and fundamentally broken. Then came India. Around 500 CE, Indian mathematicians began using a system where the position of a digit determined its value, the place value system. And they needed a symbol for the empty column. At first it was just a dot, a bindu, a placeholder, nothing special. But Brahmagupta in 628 CE did something unprecedented. He wrote a book called the Brahmasphita Siddhanta, the correctly established doctrine of Brahma, and in it he treated zero as a number, not just a placeholder, a real number you could do arithmetic with. He defined the rules. 0 plus a number is that number. 0 minus a number is its negative. 0 times anything is 0. And then he hit a wall. He tried to divide by 0 and wrote a number divided by 0 is a fraction with 0 as the denominator. He knew something strange happened there, but he could not resolve it. Neither could anyone else for the next 1,200 years. Zero spread west through Islamic mathematicians. Al-Khwarizmi, whose name gave us the word algorithm, wrote about the Hindu numeral system in 820 CE. His book Algebra gave us the word algebra. Zero was baked into both. But when zero reached Europe in 1202 via Fibonacci's Liber Abyssai, it hit resistance. Italian merchants loved it. Finally, accounting that worked. The church was suspicious. Zero was not in the Bible. Zero meant nothing, and nothing meant what exactly. Some cities banned the new numerals outright. You could be fined for using zero in official records. Here is why zero was not just a convenient symbol. It changed what was possible. Before place value notation with zero, arithmetic was torture. Try multiplying CXLII by XLVI using Roman numerals. Go ahead, I will wait. The Romans had no zero, no place value, and their multiplication was basically repeated addition on an abacus. It worked for tax collection, but it was never going to produce calculus. With zero as a placeholder, you could write 101 and know it was 101, not 11. You could write 10, 100, 1,000, and the pattern was obvious. Arithmetic became mechanical. You could teach it to a child. You could teach it to a machine. And once arithmetic was mechanical, algebra became possible. Al-Khwarizmi algebra was about balancing equations, moving terms from one side to the other, solving for unknowns. Zero was the fulcrum. Every equation balances at zero. You set something equal to zero, and suddenly you can solve for x. Then came calculus. Newton and Leibniz, independently, asked what happens when you make something infinitely small. The derivative is the rate of change as a gap approaches zero. The integral is the sum of infinitely many infinitely thin slices. Both operations require zero as a concept, not just a number, but a destination, a limit. Without zero as a limit, there's no calculus. Without calculus, there's no physics, no engineering, no bridges, no rockets, no GPS. The entire modern world runs on equations that converge to zero. Descartes put zero at the center. The coordinate system X-axis, Y-axis, everything is measured from a single point called the origin. 0. Geometry became algebra. Shapes became equations. And suddenly you could describe the motion of planets, the curve of a suspension bridge, the trajectory of a bullet, all from a single dot on a page. 0 gave us the universe as a graph. But here's the problem. 0 is not just useful. 0 is unstable. Division by 0 is undefined. Mathematically, it breaks the rules. Here's why. To divide means to find how many times one number fits into another. 10 divided by 2 is 5, because 2 fits into 10 5 times. 1 divided by 0 would be how many times does 0 fit into 1? Infinity. But infinity is not a number. And even if it were, what about 0 divided by 0? That could be anything. It is indeterminate. The whole system collapses. Every student learns this and moves on. But the universe does not move on. In physics, division by 0 is a sign that something real is breaking. Black holes are where the equations of general relativity divide by 0. The center of a black hole is a singularity. Density becomes infinite. Space-time curvature becomes infinite. The known laws of physics stop applying. 0 in the denominator of Einstein equations literally tears a hole in reality. In computers, 0 is even more dangerous. The Therac 25 radiation therapy machine had a bug where a counter rolled past 0 and caused the machine to deliver lethal radiation doses to patients. The Ariane 5 rocket exploded 37 seconds after launch because a number was too large for its variable and overflowed past 0. The Y2K bug, billions of dollars spent because computers stored years as 2 digits and nobody was sure what would happen when they ticked past 99 to 0. 0 crashed rockets. 0 killed people. 0 cost the world $500 billion. And then there is the deep problem. Quantum field theory tells us that empty space, absolute zero in energy, is not empty. Particles pop in and out of existence. The vacuum has energy. The cosmological constant, which measures the energy of empty space, is one of the most carefully measured numbers in physics. It is not 0, but it is also not the value our theories predict. They predict a value 10 to the 120 times larger. The biggest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science. All because empty space does not behave like it should. So what is 0? Is it a number? Yes. A placeholder? Yes. A limit? Yes. A philosophical crisis? Also yes. 0 forces us to confront the fact that nothing is something. The blank page, the silence between notes, the space between atoms, the gap between what we know and what we can know. Leibniz, the same man who invented calculus, believed that 0 proved the existence of God. His argument, something exists rather than nothing. And since 0 is nothing and something came from it, there must be a reason, a necessary being, who chose to create the universe from nothing. 0 as theological proof. Modern physics does not answer the question any better. Why is there something rather than nothing? The best answer we have is maybe nothing is unstable, a quantum fluctuation in a pre-existing vacuum. But then where did the vacuum come from? 0 is not nothing. 0 is the shape of a question we still have not answered. We gave that question a symbol. We learned to carry it, to add with it, to multiply with it, to build skyscrapers and rockets and computers with it. But the question is still there, a dot on a page, and it broke the world. Thank you for watching. This is Oddity, things you never thought to think about. If you enjoyed this, there is more coming. Next episode, something even more strange. Something you use every day but have never really seen. You know where to find us. And if you do not, well, 0 is a number. But nothing is forever. See you next time.